It's the dream-making business, and it attracts those with dreams. It is movie making. And in years past, if you wanted to make movies, you migrated to Hollywood. It's what Detroit native Francis Ford Coppola did before he made The Godfather. But the new names in Detroit movie making are names like Sam Raimi and Brian Belanger. And they are choosing to stay home to make their movies. Daryl Woods has this report.
Brian Belanger's recent film, Calendar, had a gala sneak preview a couple of weeks ago at the Detroit Institute of Arts. The names may not be familiar ones, but the stars were out just the same. Terry Hunt was Randy Smith, the leading man in Calendar, and Lisa Hecht played Gloria, his love interest. Mothers and sisters were in attendance, as were friends and the just plain curious. The film was modest by Hollywood standards. It was only 30 minutes long and cost just $13,500 to make. But this was Motown, not Tinseltown, and the appropriate officials were there to bestow praise on the man of the hour.
What is it?
As with so many young filmmakers, I guess Hollywood was sort of inevitable. And many wondered whether we might not have lost yet another talent to the posh and glamour of Southern California. Well, I'm happy to report what most of you already know, and that is that Brian's drive and desire to create have brought him home.
1, 2, 3, action.
Another group of local filmmakers, Renaissance Pictures, is making a film of their own, The XYZ Murders. It's the second film for the group. Their first film, The Evil Dead, turned a small profit. The $3 million to make The XYZ Murders came from investors in Los Angeles, but the group has made its studio in a converted factory in Dearborn.
I think people, when they first hear Detroit, they think it's kind of funny that you would go to a place like that to shoot pictures.
Getting the money to make a film has been a problem for local filmmakers. Brian Belanger got $3,000 from the Michigan Council for the Arts to shoot Calendar. The other $10,000 odd it cost to make his film was his friends, or his family's. Outside sources have been reluctant to finance Detroit-made movies, and Detroit movie makers say that local financiers balk at putting money in something as tenuous as a motion picture. But Bob Scott of the Michigan Film Commission is working to change that.
Many of the national firms contact my office and inform us of various, shall we say, high-risk venture capital groups that are considering utilizing Michigan's resources for feature films. And we turn our filmmakers on to those sources.
Bob Scott's office does more than get funding for local filmmakers. The Film Commission's primary responsibility is to serve as a facilitator for companies who want to make movies in Michigan.
Most of our resources are spent in trying to get filmmakers to utilize Michigan and its film and video production resources. And I think we're getting a great deal of success in that area, particularly since during the last couple of years we've had revenues generated from outside production in excess of $3.5 million.
The prospects for attracting more outside productions are encouraging. Motion picture production has been moving slowly out of Hollywood. Part of that movement is due to new technologies that allow filmmakers to shoot with less light and equipment that's more portable. Part of it is also due to the realism that shooting on location lends to a picture. And for Detroit, it's a whole new opportunity.
This picture being shot in Detroit, I don't think it ever would have happened 40 years ago. It would have just been impossible. They would have thrown us up in the back lot of one of the studios, and we would have shot it right there.
Scott is working to make Hollywood's loss Michigan's gain, but the competition is fierce. Several other states and municipalities are also vying for their slice of the movie-making pie. Right now, Detroit is the 5th largest film and video production center in the nation, just behind Chicago. And Scott says when the next census figures come out, Detroit will probably be 4th.
I think the main thing that we have going for us is the fact that we have a residential and in-state film and video production industry, where a lot of states don't. As a result of the automobile industry, of course.
Well, there's a lot of good production talent here. Very good production talent. A lot of commercials are shot here. I was surprised a little while ago I ran into Bob Dyke of Magic Lantern, and he was telling me of all the commercials that I'd seen on TV and had liked that were shot here in Detroit.
But there are some disadvantages, too.
The fact that we were shooting in Detroit didn't make it easier for us, because it was very unusual, and some film had to be shipped to the coast to be transferred. to videotape. We've got a difficult playback system. A lot of specialists had to drive all their trucks out here, which costs a lot more. So there were some disadvantages.
No, there's not a lack of places to get film processed, but I think we have to build up our post-production facilities a little bit more.
Yeah, this thing is killing her face. You don't want that, do you? No, it didn't kill her face. I mean, it's killing her. Say, hey, break.
The motives for romancing the movie industry are economic, not artistic. Movies mean money for the places where they're made. And for workers, that money means employment. And not just for writers, directors, actors, and actresses, but for carpenters, mechanics, and model builders.
They're using this city shot for the opening of the movie and the close. The camera pans down from the sky onto the city. And the reason they're using the miniatures is because it would be a difficult camera shot with a helicopter and that type of thing. There's not many of us in the city that do this, so it's unique in a lot of ways. And it keeps us busy.
It's a lot of work, but it's interesting. Everything's subject to change in the movie business. Everything, from call time to how they want it painted.
Whether or not Sam Raimi and Brian Belanger become major filmmakers depends on the success of the films they make. Whether Detroit comes on as a filmmaking center depends on the efforts of people like Bob Scott. But if all goes according to plan, Made in Detroit may someday bring to mind images other than those of automobiles. In Detroit, I'm Daryl Woods reporting.